The gospel was never designed to survive only on altars, and if that was the case, then Christianity will not be what it was today. You actually often forget that, God always used different vessels for different assignments, and people actually mistake what calling is. You understand? Calling is not a position. Calling is actually a responsibility, because what people actually hear calling, they think, oh, you have to be on the pulpit, you have to hold the microphone, you have to be shouting glory, glory, glory. Don't get me wrong, that's another form of calling. You understand? But calling can come in different ways in form of responsibilities. Now I'm going to use 4 different people in the Bible to actually explain. I'm going to use Nehemiah, I'm going to use Lydia, I'm going to use Joseph of Arimathea, and I'm also going to use Stephen. Now let's start with Stephen. Stephen was originally not even part of the first disciples. You understand? He preached with so much fire that, in fact, he said his face shone like light. You understand? Now let's use Joseph of Arimathea. Now Joseph of Arimathea, it was never ever recorded in the early parts that he was ever there. But if you notice, when Jesus died, he came. He had influence, he had power, he had money, and he bought a space for Jesus to be buried. That's already an assignment on his own. Let's use Lydia. Lydia was a businesswoman who sold purple. You understand? And it was even in a place that even the gospel was able to also continue from. In a place, you understand? Now let's use Nehemiah. Nehemiah was not a prophet. Don't get it wrong. Nehemiah was not a prophet. Nehemiah did not even hear God. You understand? Nehemiah was a government official that did not like what was happening in Jerusalem, and he cried out and took action towards it. You understand? And that is the mistake that most people actually make. Most people actually take calling as something that has to happen in the pulpit. You understand? But once you start using everything you have to actually speak about the gospel, then it flows. You understand? Now, let me even use history now. Late Martin Luther King. Now, the reason why late Martin Luther King is actually popularly revered right now is not because of, he had the loudest voice or because of that popular word. No, it's because he was able to use something there as an advantage. And what is it? The printing press. You understand? Everybody was preaching, everybody was talking about reviewing this or reviewing that. But Martin Luther King used the printing press to his advantage, and because of that, his words were widely heard and widely seen. You understand what kind of thing? What did he do? He used everything he had to his advantage. Now we have social media, now we have AI, now we have talent. You understand? Use those things to your advantage into the fruition of the kingdom. Because see, there's something I always say that, see, if whatever you are doing in this life does not have God first, or does not cover God first, then you've not started anything at all. You cannot preach Christ on your page or through your talent. You can definitely not actually preach Christ on the altar. See, you don't even need a pulpit to actually start the calling of Christ. First of all, you need to have a burden, a call of responsibility and obedience to do that. Because once you can do that properly, then that means God can use you even in the littlest and small ways, but not always on a pulpit.